All right.
I feel like we should kiss. We are uncomfortably close.
Dude.
He, to get the lighting right, he's like, can you scoot up? So my knees are, touching his car's glove compartment.
Yeah, but there's lots of space. It's an 88 LeBaron. There's lots of space in here.
It is a very nice car.
Seats are cozy and everything.
This reminds me of my grandfather's T-Bird.
Yeah.
That he had, and it's this red leather interior.
Yeah, we put the top down and everything.
I was quoting Rat Race earlier, looking at the wood here. I was just like, look at this mahogany. You just don't see craftsmanship like this anymore. Only in Hitler's car.
See this fine, rich Corinthian leather. This leather's gonna be great when it gets super hot doing these. I shot with Doug last night, and I was like, set the camera up and everything. I'm like, I miss doing this. And then we're doing this out here, and I'm like, oh right, I forgot how much of a pain it is to do it in the daytime. Nighttime, It was easy. Doug and I lights.
We found a spot eventually.
We did.
We got out of the movie, 20 minutes ago?
Dude, I'm in an 88 LeBaron. We're parked outside of a J.C. Penney. It is like it's
actually, that's pretty funny.
We're in a mall parking lot right now.
My favorite is that, 2022 white Corvette that drove past us. I'm like, you should go up next to him and be like, want to race? You and your 2022 Corvette and me and my 1986 LeBaron.
88 LeBaron.
I'm sorry,
Thank you very
LeBaron.
much. Crashing into that new Corvette over there. One of us is a time traveler.
Wait, this is 88?
It's an 88, yeah.
I might be less impressed now.
I needed a
I'm surprised. This feels antiquated for 88.
I needed it to go to see a Mission Impossible movie because it's the John Voight car from Seinfeld.
That's true. And there were John Voight references in this.
Oh, there was references to every single one of them in this movie.
Yeah, I never thought that I would have to complain that Mission Impossible got too reliant on member berries.
A lot. But it was worth it to see you crack at the beginning of it during the Bride Hard trailer.
That was, I remember I turned to you and I'm just this looks like one of the fake movies you see in a comedy. Mm-hmm. And then when they said Bride, coming soon, Bride Hard, I lost my shit. I'm just like, I can't believe that's actually the title. I'm like, you couldn't write something better as just a comedic joke movie in a film.
And then the trailer for Smurfs came up.
Oh my God. It's a bit of a wasteland out there, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to movie trailers. Mm-hmm. The Superman one's okay, the Fantastic Four one's okay, but they all have the same problem. If I have to listen to another one of those epic versions of some classic theme again, where it's always start out with the piano, so it's like, dun, dun, and then slow synth, dun, 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 dun. I am so fucking over that.
At least we got the Aronofsky trailer that put some oldies in the
that was the only trailer that I'm just like, okay, this is a
that looks. Oh yeah, because it was the only trailer that I hadn't seen a dozen times before.
You want what I want to hear? I want a Barney the Dinosaur movie with an epic I Love You theme. It's like, ding,
well, you're getting,
ding, and it's like, wah, wah, wah.
Maybe it'll be called. I got the trailer for a Gabby's Dollhouse movie last night.
God.
So
which of us wants to go first and say what our initial?
There are a ton of very exciting moments in this movie. Really, the last half of it was gripping.
And the rest?
The first half of it? The first half of it was like you're watching a series finale that's a clip show.
Yep.
It was a little much. Now, in the first...
It was not only was it a little much, it may be the first... I had some issues with them because I just saw...
Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah.
That is concluded here in Final Reckoning, not Part 2.
Yeah.
Which I guess they changed the title at some point, but that made me laugh. So I kind of had some issues with that film, and I honestly thought, because my Mission Impossible, I'd say I liked the first one for what it was. I did not like 2. I did not like 3. And I kind of wrote the series off and didn't bother seeing the fourth one on the big screen, and then everybody's like, no, Brad Bird did, it's really good, you gotta see it. So I was like, okay, that one was really good. And everyone since then, I'm just like, wow, this series got really amazing.
Yeah.
The previous one, Dead Reckoning Part 1, was the first one where I'm just like, I still liked it. Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm like, and some of the action scenes, I'm just like, God, this is as good as it's ever gonna get in any movie.
Yeah.
But it was the first time where I was like, yeah, there's some problems showing. I'm like, this is bloated. It's overwritten. I was telling Doug earlier today because I wanted to get what his thoughts were on it. And I'm just like, yeah, there's like plot exposition in this CIA scene, and then he gasses everybody. And that scene goes on for 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, it's an exposition scene. Like, you can do that. Then he talks to Benji and Ving Rhames and whoever there, and it's the same scene again. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, oh, this is an hour later into the movie. This is right after that other scene.
Yeah.
And literally, I think when Ving Rhames said, because it's like such a lazy screenwriter quote, just, what you're trying to tell me is, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, so that was like 30 minutes of exposition. And the movie just, I don't know, there was a lot of that. Like, I really liked the action in Dead Reckoning Part 1 a lot.
And the humor.
Like, it was the funniest, I think, out of all the movies I had seen, where I'm like, I was laughing hard. I'm like, okay, those are good, but it's like, unlike a Michael Bay movie or some other blockbusters or like some Marvel movies where I just like start zoning out in the action because I'm just like, it's just all becomes samey. The previous movie was the opposite. I'm just like, can we stop talking and get to some action? Because, like, that's what I think most people are there to see. Tom Cruise, like, put his life in danger. And, yeah, so that was kind of the consistent problem I had with that movie, even though I still liked it. This one kind of, like, doubled down on it.
Hardcore. So I remember really liking Dead Reckoning. I only saw it when I saw it in the theater.
And don't get me wrong, I did like it, and like some of those action scenes more than worth the price of admission. So I'm not saying I disliked it, but I'm saying like it's probably the weakest of all the really good ones we've had since 4. But I mean, they've all been really pretty good. So, but yeah, I definitely was like,
when you mentioned that to me beforehand, because I didn't remember specifically that about Dead Reckoning, because you just watched it last night, and it's been a couple years since I saw it. So you mentioned that to me beforehand, and then we get to this movie where you telling me that, I was constantly noticing that through a majority of this film.
I was noticing it because I noticed it yesterday, and I thought, well, maybe this one will be better because that movie should have been all the exposition. Mm-hmm. And in this one, I'm just like, wow, it's just as bad. In fact, you're kind of doubling down on it because now we've got member berries from previous movies where it's like a clip show.
Yeah.
And they like they retcon it in weird ways. It's like, you remember that thing that you were trying to get in one of those loser movies? Like I think it was part 3, and it was like the rabbit's foot or something, and how that doesn't connect to jack shit because none of these seems like, outside of just some of the recent ones, they ever connect, and I'm okay with that. It's individual missions. No, it turns out that was for this one thing, for this supercomputer that we're using now in this, and I'm like, did we need any of this? I don't care.
I like the idea of it, of them all connecting together, especially because they're selling this as the last one. So I get where their head's at in trying to make this.
I don't mind the idea. It just
the execution of it.
Yeah, it just felt like anytime they started doing that, I just felt kind of bogged down a bit. Or they bring a character back from the first movie, and they flash back to his scenes, and then they bring Ethan back. It's like, we met briefly, and it's like practically the same scene again. They flash back to. I'm like, I'm not an idiot. I get it, guys.
Although when he came into it, though, that was kind of the point where it started picking up for me. Yeah. I really liked him in this movie.
No, I did too. That was that whole, and I literally looked at my watch. It is like the halfway point of this movie. It's the first time where I'm like, oh my God, I feel like this got interesting. Finally.
Yeah, it did. It is at that point in the movie. And it stays interesting from then on.
Yeah.
But before then, you're watching just this kind of random assortment of scenes that in the first couple of minutes, I was appreciating that it was putting me up to speed, or what's the word I'm looking for? Recapping the events of Dead
I'm
Reckoning.
okay like with them doing that a bit, because I'm like, that plot in the first one was kind of complicated, but it does feel like it kept
doing it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like, because I'm tempted now to watch the other ones, the Chris McQuarrie ones in particular, not 4, but 5, 6. I'm tempted to look at them again. I'm like, were they always doing this and I never realized it? Mm-hmm. And I'm just noticing it now, but it feels like the 2 recent ones in particular, it feels like, our audience is just full of dumb, so we really need to hold their hand and explain everything 12 times.
Constant, no matter what. So in the first couple minutes, again, I liked that they were refreshing me on the other ones, the previous one, but it kept happening. There were parts where I didn't know if this was a scene from the other one or if this is a scene from this one, and then no matter what they're describing, it's cutting to it either from the previous one or even this film. It was flashing.
It was doing it in this movie.
Yeah.
With scenes in this film.
It made it in trying to make it easy as hell to follow. They made it kind of complicated because the pacing of it.
It's the David Lynch Dune problem. Yeah. Well, we'll just over-explain everything so that people don't get confused. And in doing so, you're just bombarded with so much stuff again and again that you either zone out or you're just like, wait, what?
It was hard to follow the narrative, really, because it was so random. And then throughout all of it, again, not even just cutting back to the previous one, but they'll be describing something from the other one, and then it's showing a clip show of that. As much as I like that they're even including the lesser one, the second one, like, as if it's on par with the better ones, like, I kind of like
they mentioned the first one was a clip show of like everything, and then it was mostly the third one. If I'm thinking of the lesser ones, did they reference the second? I thought it was mostly the third.
It is so they're. When they were kind of recapping the whole series, it was showing a lot of the second one. The Rabbit's Foot, the Philip Seymour Hoffman one.
Okay, that
was mainly kind of connecting it to the third one.
Those are the two ones I didn't like out of this whole series. So, and nothing in this one is as bad as, in my opinion, those 2 films. It's just, you know what it is? It's like, it doesn't quite stick. It sticks the landing just enough.
It does.
In a way where it's just like, it's like those competitions where you get a bunch of, gymnasts or athletes doing something and they do like 10 routines, and like 8 out of the 10 were like really good, and then you get one that it's a lesser score, and then the final one you're just like, well, that was probably the worst routine of all, but the rest was so strong we'll just consider it kind of sticking the landing, like an overall score. That's what this feels
That's totally what it was, because in the first half of it, to compare it to another spy series, in terms of kind of how awkward the pacing is, I was watching the first half of this going, this isn't reminding me of a finale like No Time to Die. It was more so reminding me of Quantum of Solace.
Yeah,
like
definitely that first half.
Yeah,
that was the boredom. I was just like, God, I was like, what movie does this remind me of where I'm just so bored and yet it's somehow a thriller? Quantum of Solace.
But then that second
the halfway point,
it picks up hardcore. It's the kind of suspense you expect out of this, where it's a ticking time bomb plot. But it's consistent in its entertainment.
No,
it's very exciting.
So there is like one problem, which is, I thought the pacing in the previous one, like that chase with the Fiat in Rome, was incredible. And then the funny thing is, I thought when I first saw it last night, I was like, train again, we've done this. That was the first movie. The way that ended, though, I'm like, okay, fine, you win. That was more than where I'm like, okay, that made up for the fact that it was standard train stuff till then. And they all seem kind of fast-paced. There's like this sequence in an underwater, like in
the
submarine, and it's a derelict sub. And it's like on paper, and even in some of the execution, I'm like, this is really cool. But it has been so boring so far, and this scene is so quiet, so tedious, so kind of long, even though it is really suspenseful, that it kind of wasn't working for me, because I'm like, I really would have preferred a car chase kind of thing at this point in the movie. Like the submarine, I'm like, maybe if that was the first half or it's some of the, but I'm like, I've been waiting forever for some action, and like what we got was this long drawn out underwater sequence in a sub, which is very well put together. I'm not saying it's not, it's just pacing wise, I'm just like, yeah, I really wanted something a little more action-packed there, because I was already like... And you get the kind of fight with, like, Haley Atwell and Benji and the other... The crazy chick, as Doug calls her. And it's a shootout and stuff, it's fine, but that felt kind of a little short. And then it keeps coming back to the sub, and that's taking, like, forever. And I'm like, boy, if this were, like... maybe a Hitchcock movie or something else where it's just like the pacing was kind of consistent, I'm like, this would work. But I'm just like, yeah, this does, even though it's super cool, like, and I appreciate the idea behind it so much, I'm like, no, I am kind of wrapped up in it, but I'm like, I'm also kind of bored by it because it's just slow moving and the rest of the movie is.
I see what you're saying. I didn't have a problem with... I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that sequence.
It's a good sequence.
Yeah.
I really don't want to shortchange it, but it's a pacing thing.
And in my head, I knew, like, well, I also knew, like, well, the big plane thing is going to be the finale.
Yeah.
But in the submarine, I did like how the predicaments kept building inside.
Well, it was exactly like the train car, which they're really good at doing, which is very Spielbergian.
Yeah.
Which I will say, and the one thing I am upset about, even if this isn't fully sticking the landing, I'm, like, kind of sad that I'm like, who's going to replace Tom Cruise doing this shit? Mm-hmm. He's almost like the poor man's Jackie Chan, which is... That's not really fair to either of them, because, like, on the one hand, Jackie Chan's really technically proficient and much quicker than Tom Cruise, but on the other hand, I don't think I've seen Jackie Chan hanging from a Learjet. So, like, they both bring their own thing, but I'm like, nobody's doing this. I'm like, what star... Like, I was talking to Doug about it this morning, and he's like, well, they'll... find somebody, but I'm like, really? That's gonna do this kind of crazy shit? To the extent Cruise does? He's like, yeah, it's probably gonna be a while before you find somebody willing to be that game.
Tom Cruise said he wants to be, and I believe him, he wants to be the first person to do an action movie at the age of 100 or something. And if there's anyone who could do it... I
hope so.
I hope he does, man. I'm rooting for him.
But I definitely think that for all the problems the film has, Chris McQuarrie and Tom Cruise as a combo... Like, they very much, like, I think Chris McQuarrie is very much the inheritor of Spielberg when it comes to action. Mm-hmm. I have not seen an action scene in any of these movies where I haven't been blown away and I haven't been just loving the setup and how you keep just turning that screw, cranking it up more and more, where it's like, okay, like that underwater scene where it's just like, now I'm being crushed by torpedoes. Okay, now I gotta go into the torpedo tube. He opens the door. Okay, it's like, now the whole suit will fit. It keeps building.
It's temple, man. It's water.
Yeah, no, that's what it feels like. And what I really love and why I think of Spielberg is because, like, Tom Cruise, for all of his faults, crazy Scientology, all that, like, he does portray himself, the ego is 100% on display, and it's hilarious. But simultaneously, he does portray himself in a Harrison Ford way of, he is vulnerable. Yeah. I loved it particularly in this one, I love the way he's up in the air, and when he gets up in that plane, first, you know that shit's real, because unlike a stupid Marvel movie or something, you see those cheeks just...
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, and you see that skin flap just...
Yeah.
Gibbling about.
You leaned over to me and said, like, he doesn't mind that he looks like Jerry Lewis in this scene.
Yeah, his hair is so flat, and he's got these, like, goggles on. And I kept going, like, nice lady, flying Nile. But, so he does that sort of thing where, like, you can see the impact that these kind of stunts have on him, and you know it's real. But what I also like is... Like, I was thinking of the train scene in the previous movie where he parachutes in and flies through that window, and I swear to God, when he gets up, he's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that they show him be vulnerable moments like that, where it's like he's not invincible like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He just, like, has to get up and, like, shake his head and be like, oh my God, like, what the fuck was
that? He also doesn't know if he's going to succeed or not. Like, I do love those
Yeah.
moments you have in the other movies where Benji will say stuff like, oh, holding your breath 6 minutes underwater? Ethan can do that. And then it will cut to Tom Cruise, who's just... like, it's like Benji is the Tom Cruise fan in a Tom Cruise movie.
That's actually a good way to put it.
Like, he can do this. He can fly that propeller plane up into the stratosphere.
But no, and the stunts are the biplane stuff was spectacular.
Dude.
I thought it would be.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I don't think it's my favorite. I think honestly, most of the other movies had stunts that I liked kind of more. I think the Learjet overall was still my favorite. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there was some stuff on this biplane that was really fucking incredible.
Yeah. Dude.
It's hard. They're all really, really good.
When this one, and again, they'll still kind of make you, like, intentionally laugh during some of them in these huge moments of heightened suspense.
Yeah.
Where you're just on edge watching these sequences. There will still be something humorous in there that is appropriate to the scene, like a part that involves an arm break in this one.
Oh,
is really good. And that reaction was so real.
I felt that. I was just like, oh!
Yeah.
No, that was great. Like, the stunts are good. It's just... funny enough, Doug didn't like, I was talking to him, he didn't like the whole AI thing, and I'm like, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I just feel that it's so overplayed in the sense of particularly the first one, and they kind of do it in this one. I feel the first one was more guilty of it. It's like, you don't understand, you're playing, I love that line about, you're playing 4-dimensional chess with an insane algorithm. Once it was like, what, is he trying to become a YouTuber?
Right,
That's what that sounds like to me. Or it's like, you don't understand, it's a soul eating computer program. It was like just sounds like social media. But
I didn't mind that plot.
I like the idea. The only thing is, like, I get sick of the, like, this is exactly what it wants. It's as it predicted. It's as, and then when anything goes wrong, I keep expecting the villain to say, like in the first one, when like Tom Cruise absconds with the key and this guy's left high and dry, I just want him to be like, just as the computer predicted, as it was written. Like, it just, it requires that computer to have such an insane 100%, nearly 100% track rate, where I'm like, 100 different things could go wrong here. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
And it is full of... The dialogue is, even though there are funny lines in it, it is full of when it's not doing the, so what you're telling me is, which it does a lot in this, but also a lot of stock lines for a movie like this where he did it, the son of a bitch
he did it.
You know,
there's a lot of that, which is weird because, like, I never thought the writing in the series from Chris McQuarrie was great. I don't think it's any Usual Suspects or something, but I thought it was very utilitarian. Like, it needed to do exactly what it needed to do. Like,
for sure.
This is a spy thriller, and it's to get you to the stunts. So I thought it was fine. It's these past two in particular, it's where I'm really noticing, like, it's just not very good, which is weird because I thought the writing he did in the previous ones were decent enough. Like, I thought, I was like, oh, this is more impassable. But now, like, you get these weird convoluted lines about how, like, and isn't it ironic that in order for Armageddon to happen at this appointed time, the key to unlocking the end of the world is, in fact, this literal key. And I'm like, oh my God, just shut up. Like,
and they're doing these too, this is in the first half of it, they're doing these too when there shouldn't be this many lines in a scene, when there's a clock counting down to about 45 seconds.
Oh my God. I was just like, hey, I remember turning to you, I'm like, tick-tock, tick-tock.
Yeah, I was thinking
moving.
the same thing. I was like, has this been, if this isn't disarmed yet, like...
And it's not like they're talking fast, like...
It's slow.
Yeah, like, we know this is 45 seconds. They're, like, doing the full dramatic, like... But if that's the case, then when I'm like, fuck, guys, come on.
Yeah, like, and there were also, like, performances from other things. Like, if you were to do a parody of this, Nick Offerman would be playing the same character. And also...
That, by the way, I just want to say straight up that we are in the entity's world now. Maybe the most Nick Offerman line I've ever heard in a Nick Offerman. I was just like, that was just so Nick Offerman, the way he said that.
You had
entity's world.
You had I forget his character's name, but the guy from Severance.
Oh, yeah.
Who pops up in this, not playing the same type of character, but giving the exact performance. Where I was like, is this intentional, or is this like his main acting style?
The only one I give a pass to is Kittredge, just because
he's great.
He was like that originally, and in a way that is the classic stock CIA director, where I'm like, I feel like any real CIA director is gonna have that sound and cadence to their voice where everything they say sounds like this. So.
And I loved him popping. I loved Kittredge popping up in the last one too.
I do like. Is he contractually obligated to always have himself shot below nose level? Like there are so many scenes in the previous movie, this one, where it's like there he is again, nose level. It's like I think Brian De Palma may have wrecked this poor guy's face. So all I think of is that scene, just like I can understand you're very upset, and then Cruise like Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset. And at that super low Dutch angle.
Yeah. But the other dude from the first one who came back,
he was great.
The guy who he got sick in the first one in the wire scene. He was living his best life, man. I like catching up with this guy.
I had to laugh though, because this plays into that whole Tom Cruise ego thing. Where as much as I'm happy that they show him being human in the sense that he's vulnerable, like Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones, he's not an Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the same time, it's like, yeah, sorry about that, man. It's like, no, I'm living the happiest, most wonderful life ever. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, for God so loved the world, he sent his only Tom. It's just like Tom Cruise can do no wrong.
I went to Lutheran high school. That is in scripture. It was taught to us every day. We said
there's like a scene where Tom Cruise, he's like floating up in the ice, and it's like this religious, he's like, oh, and I was just like thinking, for he sent his only Tom.
This is the kind of...
But simultaneously, these stunts, I'm like, he really did send his only Tom.
He really did. This is the kind of ego I like, as opposed to the bad kind I had a couple weeks ago when I went to go see Hurry Up Tomorrow.
Oh, God.
Which, admittedly, I like that kind of vanity movie, ironically, but I still don't regret going to see that. Hurry Up Tomorrow is a terrible fucking movie. This one, he does what he always does, which is put forward his best 10 miles up in the sky.
He can be as crazy as he wants. He can drink all the unicorn blood the Scientologists give him to live to be 100 and barely age. It's like he's finally got the paunch going where I'm like, okay, he's got like fat face now where I'm like, which is fine. I'm like, how old is he? 112? Like, that's fine. But it's like really until recently, I'm just like, my God, this guy never ages. Mm-hmm. He can do all of that as long as he's really entertaining me. And I'm like, that's what he does for the stupid ego moments in this film where it's all like, he's the greatest. He's vulnerable. He's sensitive, but he's the only one who can save them. For all of that, I'm just like, you know what? He's still getting up in that fucking plane and dangling there. And I know that there's wires that they removed. Which, by the way, that is good use of CGI for things like that. Give me real stunts and use the CGI to remove the wires. Mm-hmm. But I think that was the other thing, like, it was the thing that bugged me a little in the train scene in the first one. Maybe this is another reason the sub thing, some of it was very good. You could tell he's really there and they're rotating this room and the water's going everywhere. I think a lot of it's like the exterior shots and stuff. And it's a testament to how well these movies are done that it uses CGI kind of so sparingly that honestly, when it does use it, it takes me out of it a little more.
I was thinking the same thing.
Where I'm just like, yeah, that just kind of looks really fake. And like the train sequence, like it's such a cool idea, but when they ducked in the tunnel and they were trying to have that knife fight and they're all like, you know, the train itself is real, but all of that above them was CGI and it occupied so much of the screen that I'm like, that's one of the reasons until the ending the train scene wasn't doing much. Where I'm like, yeah, this just looks really fake. And the funny thing is, like, the car chase in the middle, like, most of that was real. Mm-hmm. So it is a testament, like, it's where they do best is, like, real stunts. And honestly, I'm just like, yeah, I don't need, like, if you can get away with not using CGI, like, I'm not sure I needed that much on top of the train. You could have just cut straight to the crash and done that bit, because that was the best stuff. The other thing I did like on the above sequence was that the rail signals on top that hover over and the way they duck and just miss, like, I'm like, okay, that was really good.
The behind the scenes of that is crazy too.
Was it? Wait, that wasn't real, was it?
When they're in the previous one,
yeah,
when they're on top of the train and they're having to jump over those.
Or jump or fly under it.
Yeah, that was. I don't know.
Are you shitting me? That was real?
I don't. I mean, it was going, and they were jumping over it.
In Tom, I trust.
I don't know how much was.
He is the Messiah.
Like maybe in terms of speed or anything like that.
They had to have sped it up, otherwise they'd be dead.
Well,
I honestly thought that was. I thought those were CGI. That tunnel had to be CGI though, because the effect of, I don't know how you would do that otherwise, but anyway, like in this one, some of the sub stuff, like when you would see CGI, it takes me out of it slightly, but so much of it was still real. It just was such a slog getting there. Like, and it was the same in the first movie. This was worse, but in the first movie, I felt the same thing where it's like, God, I really love the stunts. It's just kind of a slog where you get these really talky scenes, and I'm like,
I remember enjoying Dead Reckoning Part 1 a lot more than I did.
I absolutely did. I think this is honestly, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
It's not at all.
But this is the worst of the best of them, like 4 through...
It is.
What number is this? This
is 8.
8? Yeah, so in 4 through 8, I think this is the worst of them.
I agree, and so...
I think you could almost count backwards. Like, I don't know, those first two, I don't know how I'd rank them, and they're slightly different. With like 4 and 5, but I definitely think these last two were the weakest.
I'd have to go back and watch a lot, which I should, because I do enjoy these movies, but I really haven't seen them since they came out, except when Laura was curious about the second one, so we watched that again not too long ago.
Bad. I think that is the worst.
It is. I remember liking the third one.
Yeah, I would probably go 2, 3, then maybe this one... Then maybe this, and then maybe 1. Like, 1's not the strongest, but it is iconic. Like, there's a lot of things I like in 1.
Yeah, we did rewatch that one too, and that I still had a good time in the first.
So I know 1 to me is kind of mid. It's somewhere in the middle, and then like the ones before these last two, from 4, 5, and 6, I thought were super strong.
Yeah,
like I like those the best. So,
what grade would you give this one?
It's so tough.
It kind of is.
The stunts would be, if the previous one I thought the stunts... Yeah, the stunts in this are really good. The stunts are A+. A+. But if I'm giving the movie as a whole, like, because you have to wait to get to those stunts, as a whole, and the fact that this one I found way less funny, I thought this was almost super serious, maybe to a fault. There was a couple moments of humor, but not like the previous one, which was really funny. B- maybe.
So I'm there with you.
The previous one's a B, and the other ones I think are like an A to A+.
I'm right there with you. I think I gave the previous one in the A category, but this one, that second half of it was in the A category for me. Then
if that second half didn't happen, I think the first half is like, that's a C movie.
Yeah, the first half, I was sitting there going like, this is kind of riding a C. But
and
then
almost
the rest
a C minus, because I was like, the worst sin was I was getting kind of bored.
Yeah, but then it picked up hard and really did captivate me.
It rogued one itself. Or Rogue One, the second half was always way better.
Yeah, and it does come out to a B for me as well. Also, in that, like, it is worth that second half is so good. I was glad I saw it in the theater.
Oh no, I am too. I'm upset I didn't see the previous one in the theater, even though it was the first one. I'm just like, this got problems, but I'm like, still, I would have liked to see it on the big screen. So, it's. Mileage may vary. It's like, if you can put up with the slowness in the first half, like, it's worth it for the big stunts. I do like the characters. I didn't really give a shit that much about the plot. I do think Haley Atwell grew on me because I really liked Rebecca Ferguson. I was kind of pissed off about that when I saw that one yesterday. But I'm like, no. And I really like Haley Atwell in general. I'm like a huge Agent Carter fan. So I'm like, no, like, her character really grew on me. But I thought I was hoping be a little funnier. Like, I don't know, that sense of humor that previous one had, where I thought that's a real good step in the right direction to be a legit thriller with stunts, but also kind of funny at times. Like, I don't know, they're just like, no, this is... It's the old Family Guy line. It insists upon itself. It's every second I felt like this movie was trying to tell me, this is important. This means something. And I'm just like, it's fucking Mission Impossible. Don't do that. Like, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to watch Tom Cruise nearly kill himself by jumping off a plane or something. So, and then they bring back, like, there's like this character, like, you're the son of that character. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is going to kind of go somewhere. And
it really
doesn't really. They have a scene at the end. Yeah, there's like a slight scene at the end where I'm like, I guess that arc is kind of sort of resolved. But I'm like, if you're going to bring in a character like that, what... In fact, that character kind of fucked things up near the end more than anything. So I'm like, why did we do this?
You're right. Like, thinking about it, it was...
I will say said character, when they mentioned who he's supposed to be related to, I'm like, oh, weird. Now I can kind of see that. I'm like, I hadn't thought that this person looked like that, but I'm like, now I can't unsee it.
I can see it. But also, I think it also kind of happened because, again, they're wanting to tie so much into the other movies. This was just... a way for them to also tie in the first one.
It's weird because I'm like, I didn't need any of that. No, I honestly thought the way the previous, like, post 4 that they were starting to tie together, I found that weird. But I'm like, okay, like, we could do that, but I never, because I always thought, well, they're individual missions. That's the whole point. So, yeah, I don't know why they needed to keep bringing all that up again. Like, honestly, what it did, in some cases, it reminded me of like, oh yeah, that scene was exciting. Too bad we don't have anything like that yet in the first hour and a half of this film. Or
it would
just
3 hours.
Or it would just remind me how I'm like, oh yeah, that movie sucked. I'm like, it's so weird to think they're all interrelated. It would just kind of take me out of it a little bit.
They kept doing it so much. That's what was taking me out of it. Like, early on, I got it early on, where it was like, this is the last one, they're tying them together, but it was so much of it that then it every time, and tying it into the first one, like you were saying, I was sitting there like, here we go. But I was like, maybe they'll do something interesting with it. They really didn't.
And it's the same conversation again and again about, like, did you know that computer is going to bring about universal Armageddon? Did you know that nobody can really control it? Did you know it's the one ring of power? That's what it felt like. Oh. Which, I'm like, okay, but I swear to God, they just remind you of this every 10 seconds. I'm like, stop. So, it was, like...
But that second half, it still makes me be like, for me, it was still worth seeing in theater.
As I said,
just don't expect it to be the best one.
It's a poor performance in like a cumulative point show, in like a race or a gym or ice skating program or something. It's like the final one, you're like, it was a weaker performance, but you know what? The rest was like, 10 points each. So.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So like we'll put up with it, and like it stuck enough landings. There were enough tricks that it did pull off. So
a lot of times, literally sticking the landing.
Yeah.
But, well, let me drive you back to your car, unless you want to stop at the JCPenney for a bit.
I want to stop at the bouncy castle.
Oh, we can. There seems to be
this giant bouncy. Yeah. It's the world's largest bouncy castle. Brad drove us past. I was like, bro, I'll go film review. I'll go bouncy castle.
Yeah, right? So the geese over there are going. We might as well.
Those two grown-ass men with our goatees, you looking in your leather jacket like you just came from the docks, driving up in our 1988 LeBaron.
We won't look any more out of place than we did at the Paw Patrol movie.
Honestly, the first half of the Paw Patrol movie probably kept my interest more than this film. That's why I'm just like, this movie had better pull it out at the end, and it did.
Because by the time this gets to the second half of the movie, the Paw Patrol
would have been over.
I don't remember that movie pushing 3 hours.
Holy crap. And there was enough material here for a 2-hour movie. That's all this needed to be.
You're right. It could definitely be trimmed.
Whatever. Anyway, good times.
See you guys.
Dun, dun.